Hey everybody, it's Deanna with toolsofenergyprotection.com, your energy shift expert. How's everybody doing tonight? Woohoo! Woohoo! We are rocking it in 2020. It is September 15th of 2020 and welcome to a crazy world. I saw a meme on Facebook yesterday that was hysterical. I posted it actually down here in the feed of this page, but it's talking about 2020 was a prediction for the past, or from the past, realizing what we were going to have in the future, because they were saying that you want to have 2020 vision. Well, who wouldn't want to have the vision of what was going to happen for this year? There were some astrologers that I follow that were given heads up a couple of years ago. My guides were getting me ready a couple of years ago. But, hey, you know it's coming, but you don't know it's coming. So anyway, tonight is a time for lovies and huggies and questions. So if you have those, please let me know. Stacy, big hugs and kisses going out to you tonight. We still got to get together about the lipstick. Tanya, hey, good to see you. Jennifer, woohoo! Anyway, so tonight I am super excited that you have joined me because just like when COVID first hit back in March, I am pivoting or shifting my business once again. So I'm going to get a little housekeeping out of the way about what's coming, what's the heads up, and then we'll get to some questions. So if you've shown up tonight knowing that there are emotional triggers all over the schmeggin' place, I mean, they're on the news, they're in the crowds, they're within us, and you want to ask me some questions on what's going on. My angels and my guides have been like this in my ears for the last couple of weeks, and I almost called this session today, what do the ancestors have to say? But, stuck with more of them. The emotional triggers. So here's what I've been seeing with my clients this week, being reported to me or emailed or texted. See if you identify with any of these, because this is what people are feeling right now. Number one, shortness of breath. How many of you have had shortness of breath, like anxiety, panic attack? I'm like, where did that come from? Then fatigue. Lots of people telling me that they cannot sleep. They can't get to sleep at night, or they wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and they can't get back to sleep. What about dietary changes? How many of you out there, give me a thumbs up or a heart or something if you've had dietary changes, like all of a sudden you can't eat this and you're craving that. And all you want is that. You don't want this, right? How many of you have had an increase in sugar? Huge increase of more and more sugar, ice cream, candies, all kinds of things. And then feelings of dread. This is my big seller this week. How many of you have gone to bed, everything's normal, nothing out of the ordinary, and you lay down and you feel dread, or you feel like something is in your room? It's not like somebody, like a ghost or a demon standing over there, but it's just a feeling of dread. One girl described it as a blanket of evil in her room. And she prays and she meditates and she has a spiritual practice, and she's like, what the heck is this? Some of my other clients, not so popular subject apparently, have had other beings that are from the second dimension coming into their bedrooms in the middle of the night and biting them on the chin or licking them, and sometimes even in their dreams. So if that's happening for you, let me know, because it's not real popular apparently to talk about. And then having really super bizarre dreams, like you're trying to figure out something, you're working on something, you can't seem to read your cell phone to make a phone call. I know that's one's happened to me. Or you can't get your car to start, or you can't find your car. Anything to do with communication or transportation. How about that one? Are we getting that one? All right. Okay, let's rock into some questions. And then I'll share a little bit more about what's happening on the planet, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we go. Let's go back to the top. All right, so we said hi to Stacy, big hugs and kisses. Tracy, nice to see you. Jennifer, great to see you. Hey, Tracy, good to have you back. And hello, Becky. Susan, thank you for joining. Rhonda, hello, Rhonda. And Tanya starts us off tonight with new potential relationship, question mark. Tanya? I'm not sure if you're asking me about new potential relationships for you or for the world at large, but since we're on that subject, I'm so glad you brought it up. what we're seeing right now with these emotional triggers are a lot of endings of a lot of relationships. Relationships with money, relationships with your health, relationships with other people. How many? Please show me a thumbs up of you have ended a relationship of any kind in the last week. Either you're so done with your finances the way they are that you decided, I'm going to file bankruptcy, or you've decided you're going to get a different or better job, or maybe you started a home business that's taken off like gangbusters, right? Any kind of a shift, an energetic shift in your relationships with money, that is happening now. And the reason for that is because we are coming up on the end of a wave, if you will. And I'll explain that to you in a minute, but we've had these energy waves, and I've hold the charts up and I show you those. And we're getting ready for the end of the wave. So there's a settling out, there's an up-leveling and a settling out, and there's a breath. And then after that breath, we're going to go right back to the boom again, okay? And I know a lot of you are like, oh, geez, you know. But welcome to the new age. This was something back in the Mayan calendar, which is a few years back, that was predicted, and everybody thought, oh my gosh, the world's going to end, Y2K, blah, 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 you know. No, that was the beginning of a new cycle. So I'd like for you to imagine a little tiny pebble, and somebody takes it over a big lake, beautiful, clear, crystal clear lake, you know, and it's all still, and they take this pebble and they drop it in the water, and it goes echo, 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 and you've seen those rings go out, and then another ring will come inside of that, and another ring inside of that. Well, can you imagine what it would look like if you could actually see what was happening? You could see all the molecular structures, because it's not just the ripples on the top we can see or the residual ripples, but what it's about down below, and how is that changing the physics and the dynamics of the positions of the crystal water. You're like, Deanna, what? What I'm saying is that when a mass of energy changes, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, but it's not just one. It echoes out. I'm going to give you an example about how relationships are transforming right now. Potential relationships. Tanya, great for the question. You're a great lead-in. So, the new potential relationships, that's the one about wealth. And it is changing not only for you, but for the entire world. Except for maybe some people that live in a jungle where they just live off the land. But the entire world is seeing panic, and they're seeing fear. And I have gotten so many calls from my clients who are stock market type people or make investments, and they're asking me to give them a prediction for the next month or 2 months. How far can I see down that that timeline? Because the timelines are always changing. It's hard to make a prediction. But I can give them some variables about how that's going to look. And we got a lot of people on this planet that are freaking out because they have no money and they have lost their jobs. I pray for them every day that God's Spirit or Source will touch their minds and show them a different way to make money. Because just as some doors are closing on some jobs, other doors are opening up. New possibilities, things you never thought of doing before. And there's boundaries having to be drawn. You know, if you're, a parent and your 30-year-old loses their job and they want to move home with you and, you love them, so you want to take them in, the economy's bad, they've lost their job, what else are they doing? Are they helping you around the house? Are they helping you to support you, right? Are they mowing the lawn? Are they doing the dishes? Are they keeping things neat and clean if you've got the income coming in? And what are they doing to pivot on their jobs? There's one gal that's on here tonight, just a beautiful woman, and she has a brand new business. And she is rocking it on Facebook. I'm seeing her post and I'm like, oh, good gravy. She is just going for it. And the product's great. And people are signing up. Why? Because she has faith. She took action. And she found a product that people like or love or need. So that's what's happening on this planet right now. Whether the COVID rules tell us that this business is essential and this business is not essential, human beings are smart enough to figure that out for themselves. Can I get an amen? How many of you out there, please don't do a thumbs up, are still going to the liquor store and buying alcohol? That didn't go by the wayside. How many of you are still getting in connection with your church or your spirituality or your stupa? And maybe making a donation there. That didn't go away. Now here's the thumbs up time. How many women are still buying makeup? Right? Because we can figure out what we need as women. We like to feel good. We're going to wear makeup. We're going to get underarm deodorant. And all those businesses are still flowing. And people have to eat. And they need a roof over their head. So the relationship is changing with financial dynamics and the way that energy flows. And it might not look the way we desire it to or we think it will. And the stock markets are going schmegging crazy. They're up, they're down, they're up, they're down. And it's dependent on what comes out of a certain person's mouth. Or maybe several people. And everybody listens to that person and they all run over here and they change their stocks. And then they run over here and they change their stocks. You know, people just let it balance out. It will come. Okay? As far as I know, we're not going to lose our shirts. All right, let's get back to some questions. That's what's coming forward in relationships with money. That's what's coming forward in relationships with jobs. And that's what's coming forward in relationships sometimes with our family members. Be sure to set some boundaries. All right. Polly's inviting some other people. Thank you, Polly. I'm not sure if you can start a watch party down here when I'm on or not. I don't know if that works or not. All right, Becky says, my body feels like it's falling apart. Seems to be happening to a lot of people. Absolutely, Becky. You're right on top of it. And here's the reason why. There is a shift in our realities. I was just reviewing a book that was written, I'm going to say about 10 years ago by somebody in my line of work, and he's no longer in body, but he was talking about this time period. He talked about the shift that was coming up 10 years ago. And he talks about the shift between the heart and the mind. And that is something that I would like to get to tonight to share with you what I promised, which is how to diffuse emotional triggers. Well, if you can't identify an emotional trigger, you can't diffuse it. Okay? An emotional trigger is anything that takes you to anger, takes you into fear, makes you want to cry, or other emotions that you weren't expecting in the moment. So, you're just driving along or, maybe walking along and something happens very quickly, or you see something on the news very quickly, or you see something on Facebook and you just go into tears, or you go into this raging anger. And, it's displaced in time. Yes, we could get upset with what's going on in the news. I know there's things that I don't like that are going on in the news. And then you can be angry about them. You can be upset. You can have a position. But I'm talking about where things just, pew, and that happens a lot to people right now. So, I heard about a guy that was in the grocery store the other day, and he wasn't wearing a mask, and he had on one of those baseball caps, and, had like World War, I think, II on it. You've seen those guys. And they've been to battle, and they've done their service. And he wasn't wearing a mask. And apparently a gal next to him chewed him out for not wearing a mask. 20-something-year-old from what I'm understanding. And he turned around and he said, look, he says, I have fought in 2 wars. I have been shot 5 times and once through the lung, and I can't breathe with a mask on. But you're welcome for your freedom. And he walked away. That's how I heard the story anyway. So, you can get passionate about that, but it didn't trigger the man because he was centered, because he was balanced, because he knew who he was. And that's where I'm asking you all to be. The story's not about the mask, wearing it or not. The story's about being centered enough to draw boundaries with someone else and know that you're in your space. Okay? That's what the story's about. Let's not get these things mixed up. Anyway. So back to you, Becky. She says, my body feels like it's falling apart. Seems to happen to a lot of people. Okay, so here's the deal. We are the reason Schumann's frequencies are up and down so much is we are shifting our vibrational frequency. Most of you have seen a drum set. Most of you have seen the cymbal on the end of the drum set. And you see the guy hitting it with what looks like a powder brush. Sorry, guys. And it's right? But if he gets his stick out, he goes, boom, that cymbal goes like this. Well, that's what's happening on our planet. So people who were still attached to their emotional stuff from the time they were conceived are having a hard time of it. And that's why the body's like, right? Okay. I didn't get any laughs. All right, you're let's get some smiles going out there because I thought that was funny. Anyway, okay. So let me look over here and still not okay. I must not be funny tonight because I'm still not getting any smiles. Oh well. We do try a little comedy in each and every show. All right, so let's get back to the point. The point is, I got one laugh. Okay, the point is that our frequencies are changing. And what was interesting, yay, laughter, yay. Okay, is I got someone who sent me a clip from Greg Braden. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He has written several books. He was a man of science. And then he found out about metaphysics, and he shifted the two communities together. And even he's talking about Schumann's, but in a different way, about the frequency. And so what's happening is our physical bodies, oh, thank you, Kim, for the laugh. The physical bodies can only vibrate at a certain level. And it depends on what crap you're putting in your body as to how high it can vibrate. So when we're going through these shifts, your body's going to react accordingly. That's normal. I suggest you drink water, keep your body in pH. But these frequencies are also addressing what's in our hearts, not the physical ones, the emotional ones, and what's in our minds. And this is what the guy from the book 10 years ago was talking about, is that often in this world that we live in right now, we are taught to think with our minds. Logic. We are not taught esoteric things to think. We don't go to grade school. I don't remember taking a class in Buddhism, although we did have one lady that did yoga in between classes. We haven't been taught to use our spidey senses about what's going on. Actually, we've been taught to suppress them because they're not right. Sorry, personal pet peeve. You can't sense things. You don't know things. You can't heal somebody. Well, that's true. You can't really heal somebody, but you can send healing energy, and if they receive it, they're healed. But we've been taught to think with our minds. Logic, there's nothing wrong with logic. But that's how we've been taught to think. Here is another way to think of it. Here's a pencil. Here's my hand. If I turn loose of it, it drops into my hand. That's gravity. Okay? That's logic. There's a law that logically says if you turn loose of a pencil, at least on the earth, it's going to fall here. But if you go into space, that's not happening. It'll float. So logically, that's what we expect to see. But I didn't remember anywhere in school them talking about the space that exists. Now, yes, they talked about gravity, but the space that exists between the pencil and whatever you're dropping it. That space, if you will, is analogous to your heart. It's the emotion. I know that's kind of a stretch, but just follow me. Taking a pencil and dropping it is logic. It's measured. It's science. But being able to see the space between the pencil and wherever it's dropping, if you imagine that as free space, if you will, that the pencil's moving through, that's your emotions. When the pencil's done dropping, your emotions are still there. They didn't go anywhere. Gravity's the same way. It's not going anywhere. Just because you're not using it right at the moment actively. I mean, we use it all the time, but... So what I'm saying is that people's minds are being screwed with. If you go back on my YouTube channel or here on Facebook, you're going to find when I was doing the COVID and after COVID videos like this, you're going to find that I was talking about how it was a mind screw, right? Yes, COVID is real. Yes, it is a very harsh disease. And yes, it kills people. But we were being presented with it like it was the end of the world. Now, whether that's legit or not, I don't know. But what I do know is that our minds are being screwed with because we were made to stay home, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. Businesses shutting down everywhere. That's just a mind screw. Whether it's right or wrong, don't argue that. But think about the psychological effects of that. And then having to be in houses or rooms or locked up with people that you're used to waking up, giving them their breakfast, give them a kiss, bye honey, and you come home at the end of the day, and now you're stuck with them 24/7. And if there's kids involved, you've got that to work with. And that is just a huge change to anybody's mind. And now, go a little bit further along, and then other things started to pop up. In fact, some of the Facebook memes would be, like somebody with a big look on their face, like looking out the door, wanting to know what part of Armageddon was happening today. Well, from what my guides tell me, this isn't Armageddon, but what we are experiencing feels like it. I live in Colorado, and we had fires, and I think they're all put out, but California is still blazing. And hundreds of millions, I don't know, I didn't look before I came on, of acres are being burned. And animals, precious animals, are losing their lives. Nobody's gone out there to rescue them that I know of. I must be fearful for them. It's a big change for them. And then we've got the hurricanes coming up, and I haven't checked on those yet lately either, but they seem pretty big. And we've got people in the streets that are fighting and arguing and setting things on fire and terrorizing people. What more, what more, right? I want to ask that question because it's not good. But there is a song that I know that I played. I used to play music on here until Facebook passed this thing that if I play music while I'm doing a live, that, somehow it violates people's copyrights, which I respect, but I'm just like, I'm just having fun, But it's called The End of the World As We Know It. And I Feel Fine. It's by REM. And I just, I played that because I thought it was, sadly appropriate. But this isn't the end of the world, ladies and gentlemen. This is the beginning of the next age, and this planet is going through birthing pains. And what it's trying to birth are highly ascended or ascending people. What does it mean to ascend? It means to go up in increments. Okay? So, the desired outcome is that this video will be of service to you, to each one of you that's watching now or on the recording. And I will continue to answer questions if you have them, because I did send out an email about that. But this is a time of ascension, and that's why our physical bodies are hurting. Because there's more pressure, there's more electromagnetism, and so achy parts are going to ache. That's why I'm telling you, drink water, stay in alkaline. It will help you during this transition. And when emotional triggers pop up, go within and see what's happening. Take your power back. This transition is tough. It's about the world transitioning. It's about people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions transitioning. And the world is literally, in a metaphysical sense, splitting in two. No, it's not going to be like an egg inside an ovum that got, got fertilized and is going bloop, 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 No, it's not like that. We're dividing between people that have a higher level of consciousness and are more aware, and those that aren't. Plain and simple. And that's why there's aching going on in our bodies and our minds. It's asking us to ditch the trash of our emotional lives and walk forward to a more elevated, loving, peaceful consciousness. So, you have any questions, please let me know. I must have either gotten too deep for some people or not deep enough for others, because I noticed the viewership went whoop. I hope I'm not the opposite of a debate again. That's what I seem to have, that kind of timing. But if anybody has any questions, please do pop them in the feed. Let's go back and look here. Okay, thank you, Becky. I hope that answers your question. If not, I will see you on Saturday. Angie, you are Sleeple. Ha, she's not sleepy, Sleeple. People following along. You just got triggered. If you want to share, that's great. Not sure what you got triggered about. But anyway, I'm going to ask that empathic people, highly sensitive people, please come on board. Let's get you trained, because I would like to teach you how to take your power back. That's everything we just talked about. The election in the United States is coming up. My guides, my spirit guides, are indicating to me that October 20, about 23rd, 24th, is when we're going to see a resurgence of a bunch of stuff that is not going to be happy. And speaking of not being happy, apparently my cell phone is not happy. So hang on one moment. Sorry, should have run a commercial while I was gone. So my cell phone didn't have enough juice, so I had to plug it in. But what I'm saying to you is that highly sensitive people, empaths, I follow a couple of groups here on Facebook that have those kind of people in them, and I'm seeing just nonstop posting about relationships ending with narcissists and sociopaths. And people are just being triggered right and left, like, like popcorn. What do they do? How do they get out? How do they move forward? And all that kind of thing. So tomorrow and then Saturday and then the following Wednesday are going to be the final dates that I have for the original Spiritual Awakening Academy, because I'd like for those people to graduate. So I reached out to them all, and hopefully they're going to join right in. And then starting next month, I will launch again the Spiritual Awakening Academy, this time with specific dates, specific times, when to be there, when to sign up. And it is a 3-month journey. So I'm going to say to you very plainly that because we are coming up on a presidential election, the last part of September, we're going to be pretty much okay. Coming into October, you're going to see mudslinging like you have never seen it before. You're going to see an increase of unstableness among the masses. I don't like to say those kind of things, but you're going to see it. And you're going to see all kinds of things being taken back and forth and up and down, more than a typical election. And so when this happens, you have to be stable within yourself. The heart, the mind and the heart have to come together if you're going to make it through this transition the best you can. If you're still dealing, most of us that are highly sensitive have narcissists, sociopaths, or psychopaths, either as parents. Sometimes they're known as alcoholics, sometimes workaholics. There's lots of different ways that they participate. And we're still injured inside as little children because of how, because of how we were treated. So our inner child, I should say, is still disturbed. and we're having trouble managing it with all this stuff going on. So in the Spiritual Awakening Academy, your first order of business is to take your power back. We're going to do that. The second order of business is to understand where your life force comes from, because if you know where your life force comes from, and you're like that man in the grocery store, he'd been to war, he'd been shot, he'd healed, he knew what his lungs felt like, and he could make his own decisions, right? He knew his center. He didn't cave. He turned right around and told that girl exactly what he thought. And that's the desired outcome for all of us, is to be centered enough within ourselves that when more stuff begins to hit the fan, and it will, that we're going to be a little bit more steady. And yes, we'll make it past the election. They're not going to blow the world up. But it will be a different world after the election. Whether you're watching me from Great Britain, big hugs and kisses to my Great Britain watchers, or whether you're watching from the US, it's going to change. It's going to change pretty drastically. So if you're not centered and you're not balanced and you think you're off balance and energetically not aligned now, just wait. But in the Spiritual Awakening Academy, we're going to help you take your power back. Then we're going to help you understand your life force, who you are, what your position is in this world. And then I'm going to teach you to rock and take power and action for yourself. You're going to take some action like you've never dreamed of. So I think it was Morpheus in the Matrix. I don't remember the colors, but do you want the blue pill or the red pill? Do you want to take this pill and go back to the way things have always been and keep it on? Or do you want to take this pill and see how far that rabbit hole goes? Because God, Spirit Source, is calling his mighty spiritual army. And I'm asking you to join. I have been doing some internet research, and I have looked, and I have not found a Spiritual Awakening Academy like this one. I did find one other one on the internet, but it's not like this one. Because we're getting right to the heart of it. Power, life force, action. And if you can make it on your own, great. Maybe we should get together and have tea, because I'd like to find out how you're doing it, because I could, I'm always learning. I could use some more information. But after we graduate our first round of academy cadets, if you will, we're going to start rocking the DNA world. We're going to start dealing with what science calls the junk DNA. That's pretty exciting in itself. All right, I got some more questions here. Polly says, have you seen any of my angels? No, I have not. They're probably with you. If you're sitting on the couch, they're probably over your right shoulder, I'm being told. Cherie, nice to see you. Thanks. Becky says, rabbit hole, here I come. So stay close. I have heard some rumors. I don't know if they're true. I don't think they are, that there might be some challenges with Facebook. Some people don't want to get on Facebook anymore, and I understand that. So you can join me on my YouTube channel. You can type my name in there, or you can go to toolsofenergyprotection.com and click on contact. And then you'll see all the ways to get a hold of me. But I'm going to make some, I'm going to wait and see if there's any more questions. Like I said, either I'm answering everybody's questions or I'm totally off base. That's how it is with the watches. But if you're watching this on replay, do not be afraid to hit like and do not be afraid to hit share, because like I said, starting in October, the first week of October, we are going to rock the Spiritual Awakening Academy. As many will come, and we are going to go for the next 3 months. So that's your time to get in. Because unless I have a huge demand to run it again in November, October's it. Get your butt on board, okay? We're going to hit October. It's going to be taking your power back. We're going to work on that. November, I'm going to show you the life force of who you really are. And then December, I'm going to show you how to clear the Akashic records. Actually, my guides are telling me, okay. Newsflash, I love it how they talk to me when I'm on live Facebook. My guides are telling me that I'm going to teach the first phase, the first week of October, the second phase, the second week of October, and the third phase, the third week of October. So we just got up leveled. I just do what they ask. So if you want to be in the Spiritual Awakening Academy and you want to have yourself fully empowered before the election, you jump on board. Newsflash. But I will not repeat the academy once I get it started. So now I got to go change some of my stuff. But I will be posting invitations on toolsofenergyprotection.com. I'll post them here on Facebook. And I will also post them in the Sensitive Fight Club. We're trying to discuss a little bit more in the Sensitive Fight Club each and every day. I'm posting the Schumans now more over there because it's a more of a group of people that like to discuss that. So if you go right up here, if you're on Facebook, and type in Sensitive Fight Club, or go right now to Tools of Energy Protection and click on Sensitive Fight Club, you'll get over there, ask for a membership, and I will let you in. It's free, and you can jump out anytime that you want. Oh, good. Someone says their ears are ringing like crazy now. That's good. When your ears are ringing, what that tells me is that your vibration is raising already. And that will happen a lot as we go through the academy. And I do have one young lady that's going to write a testimonial, and I will share that with you as soon as I have it. But we did literally transform her life just on the third level of the academy. Just amazing young woman, and she was able to take her power back and rock her world. So anyway, that's it. That if you feel like you don't have any power, you feel like you're lost, you're having any of these symptoms, let's see here. I hope I didn't freeze because I'm looking over here on Facebook and it looks like I'm frozen. But let's see here. Where'd it go? Must have clicked it off. Anyway, but if you feel like you're resonating with any of those symptoms, you know, that the ears ringing, the dizziness, the panic attacks, sometimes the nausea, that's what's happening. So thank you everybody for showing up. I am working with a guy on my internet site, and so if all goes well, in about mid-October, I'm going to have a brand new looking site, and we're going to be offering a lot of new things to help everybody. I'm going to have some products on board for sale to help you to balance out, and some books, and I'm looking into starting the Metaphysical Book Club. So those of you that like that kind of thing, stick close. And thank you so much for joining me. The desired outcome was to give you some good information and not sound like I was rambling, and then my guides jumped in and gave me some new news right on the right on the 4. So take it easy, breathe, pray, meditate. Let's just do one more thing before we close tonight. I'm going to ask for everybody to just take a moment, take a nice deep breath. Let your shoulders relax. And join your heart with mine to create a beautiful ball of energy. And with love, lift it up and send it out over California. For every firefighter and every person supporting them, bringing them food, helping them with tent city, getting them whatever they need, caring for their families while they care for the fire. May they be richly blessed with everything they need, Abba Father, that the fires might stop and people might be rescued, and that the firefighters will have the strength within. Thank you. Thank you for taking that moment with me. Have a great and wonderful night. Oh, Kim asked me, will I be at the Body, Mind, Spirit show in Denver coming up? Yes, I will be, and I'll make some more announcements on that. They've moved the expo, and I'll give you the location and where it's going to be. And be a little bit lighter this year as far as the number of people that are exhibiting, but they're solid exhibitors, and I will be speaking about shifting energy and stuff like that. So I've got to find out a few of the details, but I will see you there. Have a great and wonderful night. Big hugs and kisses.